After 50 years, the Amar Jawan Jyoti, which had been built as a memorial in remembrance of the soldiers who were killed in action in the 71 war, was finally now merged with the Jyoti that exists at the National War Memorial, which was inaugurated 3 years ago by the Prime Minister. This was done because anyway for the last 3 years, the ceremonials have shifted to the National War Memorial. Any visiting dignitary would go to the National War Memorial, and it was only fitting, as has been said by those who were involved in the entire process of designing the first National War Memorial in the country, that it's only natural that the Amar Jawan Jyoti would also gradually find place at the War Memorial itself. First, let's listen in to what the veterans have to say about the move. Several senior ex-servicemen, retired officers of the army, former chiefs, what do they say about the move?
You see, what has happened is all the ceremonial events, all the wreath-laying ceremonies have already got shifted from the Amar Jawan Jyoti to the new National War Memorial. So, in my view, and I really don't want to get into the politics of it, but my personal view is that I think it's appropriate that, the flame now be merged. So we should not look at it as something that the flame is being extinguished, but we should see it as the flame moving to a new home, I think. Unfortunately, national security has become a hugely sort of politically divided subject. So I think it's better if, the military at least is kept out of controversies.
तो मेरी तरफ से मेरी समझ से ये एक बहुत बिफिटिंग चीज है. यही हम चाहते थे. जब मैंने नेशनल वॉर मेमोरियल की कंस्ट्रक्शन मैंने करवाई है एज चीफ ऑफ आईडीएस, और उस दौरान जितनी डिस्कशंस हुई, बात आपस में डिसीजंस हुए, ये बिल्कुल एक बिफिटिंग और बिल्कुल करेक्ट डिसीजन है.
But as with most things in our country, this too wasn't without its fair share of a political tug of war. Principally, parties like the Congress party were the ones who raised objections, saying that this is not just an insult to the fallen soldiers of the 71 war, but also shows the frustration of the BJP, which is in power right now at the center, which wants to erase the legacy of the Congress.
हम लोग सब पले बड़े हुए हैं अमर जवान ज्योति को नमन करते हुए, उसको श्रद्धांजलि देते हुए. राष्ट्रीय आपदा है, ये एक राष्ट्रीय त्रासदी है. भारत के राष्ट्रपति जो सुप्रीम कमांडर हैं भारत की सेना के, उनको इस बात में दखलंदाजी करनी चाहिए और अमर जवान ज्योति को बिल्कुल बुझाया नहीं दिया जाना चाहिए. दो फ्लेम्स नहीं हो सकते क्या? इस देश में दो वॉर मेमोरियल नहीं हो सकते?
Now there is nothing wrong in the National War Memorial, but Mr. Modi or the central government is doing this absolutely with political motivation, because Amar Jawan Jyoti was started by Indira Gandhi. This should be condemned by all people. The two flames could have burned together. There would be no difficulty. But why the government has decided to extinguish one and keep the other is not clear, excepting
memories and the service and the sacrifice of these soldiers since 1947 is very sacrosanct. That is precisely why Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji built the National War Memorial. This is the question that needs to be posed to all of these opposition parties. Why is it that for so many years they did not think it fit or appropriate for a National War Memorial that is built after 1947 to honor men and women of the Indian Armed Forces post-independence? They raise these fake narratives.
जो कुछ नेताओं ने या विशेष रूप से राहुल ने प्रतिक्रिया व्यक्त की है, वह अज्ञानपूर्ण भी है, अपराधपूर्ण भी है, वैमनस्यपूर्ण भी है. सुभाष के प्रति और क्रांतिकारियों के प्रति, स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों के प्रति, देश के लिए बलिदान होने वाले फौजियों के प्रति थोड़ा सा अपमानजनक टिप्पणी भी है. यह निंदनीय है.
Rami Desai, political analyst, is here with us along with advocate Kapil Madan, a supporter of the Congress. But I want to first go across to Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad and Colonel Utkarsh Rathore. General Prasad, I want to first ask you, because the the number one valid question being asked is that this was a memorial, or at least that entire space was in memory of those who laid down their lives not just in 71 but also Indian soldiers who fought in the World War, and to move out of that space is an insult to both the soldiers killed in action in 71 and the Indians killed in action in World War I. What would you say?
Padmaja, without going into the politics of the whole story which has been going on since early morning, let us please understand what is a war memorial. War memorial is a place created to pay homage to the people who lay down their lives in the service of the country. It is a place which is a serenity, calmness. When we go there, we fold our hands or we salute and say, we pray for your soul. We pray that your soul may rest in peace. It must have peace around it. It must have open areas around it where there can be you can only hear the chirping of the birds and not all kinds of stuff. You don't have a war memorial in the middle of a road. If you recall, and you perhaps may not have been old enough to see, but those of us who are old enough, you remember that India Gate used to be the middle of a road. It's a central road. Cars used to fly up and down that place, and that is where a temporary war memorial was created and a flame was burnt over there. Now we have, after 70 years of independence, and for the last so many years we've been shouting about a proper war memorial, so which has finally been created. It is simply correct that a war memorial flame must rest at a place where actually it's supposed to be, which is a proper war memorial. Therefore, it has not been extinguished, as everybody has been saying since the morning. It has been carried forward in a ceremonial manner to the correct place. I would go ahead by saying, Padmaja, that the whole complex of India Gate, which includes India Gate, which includes the Chhatri behind it, which includes the current war memorial, should be converted into a total national war memorial area. There should be no traffic inside. There should be landscaping. There should be beautiful plants and flowers all over. It should be a place of serenity, calmness, जैसा होना चाहिए जहाँ पे हम जाकर homage देते हैं. And not only that, Padmaja, today is one day that I also want to flag another issue with it, that there is a requirement of a war museum. And that war museum talk has also been going on for a very long time. Finally, that Princess Park area, which is on the 9 o'clock clock ray of the India Gate, that is where the war memorial is, museum is supposed to come. So the whole complex must be developed in a manner which is befitting as a national monument. So therefore, there's no question of two. People are saying, why can't there be two flames?
Very interesting you brought that up, sir, about the entire area perhaps being dedicated.
It has to be at a place which is serenity.
Absolutely, because not too long ago, and without going into the politics, not too long ago, there was a chief minister of Delhi, when the war memorial was being proposed, sir, said that the India Gate area is like Chowpatty. And we want tourists to come here. We don't want to lose tourists. So a war memorial here is not advisable. Let me get in Colonel Utkarsh Rathore. Now, there is also the suggestion, why can't there be two Amar Jawan Jyotis? Is there any precedence or any example that comes to your mind, Colonel Rathore, of any country having two national war memorials side by side or close by? Why can't we do that? Colonel Rathore, that question is for you, sir. So your audio is muted. Can you please change that?
Am I audible? Padmaja, before I answer your question, let me say one thing. That today, a legacy of half a century has been shifted or discontinued. It is highly emotive issue. India has this new war memorial. If you read it, it is for the post-independent martyrs, right? There are a whole lot of soldiers who died in First World War, Second World War as well. So this is one issue which I strongly feel should not have been decided over files in a bureaucratic manner. The stakeholders of this issue are, let me say, are scattered in Burma in Bangladesh, in Nepal, in whole India, in Pakistan as well. So this is a huge thing. There was no harm in taking a pan-India opinion poll, and I would have not been surprised that decision would have been the same. The recommendation would have been the same. But keeping it under wraps and telling 2 days before that we are shifting it is wrong. What about that void? Have you thought about filling that void? This should have been thrown to the public. So this.
Okay, sir, without meaning to contradict you, I have been, sir, if I may just come in for a second, I actually have been speaking to people in the Defense Ministry and some others in the government, and actually there was a consultative process, is what we've been told, where the services, ex-servicemen, they were all consulted, first for the construction of the National War Memorial, and then eventually General Satish Dua, in fact himself, who oversaw the design and construction, he himself said that my firm belief is over the last 3 years that the ceremonials had already been shifted to the War Memorial. So the eternal flame or the Amar Jawan Jyoti also belongs in the War Memorial. So this wasn't sudden, sir, this was under consideration for the last 3 years, is what General Dua himself has said, and that's what we are being told.
All very well what you said, but today's war and controversies are fought on social media. Why not a pan-India opinion poll? It won't have cost government anything, but this would have subsided all these controversies. This is what my point is. Today, aren't we firefighting over social media?
I'll let Rami Desai respond to that. Could there have been a greater taking of opinion of the people, because the people are also stakeholders? It's an emotional issue. Rami Desai.
Good evening, Padmaja. I think my very highly esteemed co-panelists have made some very good points, but I have to very respectfully disagree with the previous panelist's view that, this could have been brought out on social media. Let me tell you, sir, that social media does not represent this country. There is a huge population that is not on social media. We are a country of 1 billion people. I don't think everybody can be taken into a consultative process for every issue. My greater problem here is that, this is a very simple, simple issue that has been solved. You can't have multiple ceremonies, you can't have multiple logistical planning, you cannot have what everybody wants taken into consideration. And I find it absolutely shocking that people opposing this, even the opposition, the political opposition in this country, has reduced itself to what we see today. You cannot oppose everything just because you oppose the government. There are some things that everybody needs to come on the same platform for. And I think that is very important. We have to realize, like, one of my co-panelists said, that, there is a certain amount of sanctity that is required for, commemorative issues like this. And, this has fulfilled that. Also, like I said, logistical issues have been fulfilled. There is some sort of completion that we see. We also must understand, that the National War Memorial is far more important and relevant than any other memorial for our soldiers. The India Gate, was for our soldiers who fought in the British Army, and they are Indian soldiers, but that has been merged with Amar Jawan Jyoti. When we look at the with the new memorial, when we look at the Amar Jawan Jyoti, there were no.
And again, since everyone keeps talking about how this is an insult, if I may just pause you for a second. Everyone says at the end of the day, those were Indian soldiers, even if they fought for the British, and this is to dishonor them. Just for them, a small nugget. The fact is that close to 90,000 Indian soldiers fought for the British across various countries. Less than 15,000 have their names represented even at India Gate. So a large section of them are not represented even now. So they needed to find space. Plus those who were killed in action in 71, the Amar Jawan Jyoti was for them. But we still do not know of their names and identities because their names never found mention anywhere. The National War Memorial Kapil Madan has their names. The Jyoti is there. the identity is there, the soldier is there, and he is no longer unknown. So what's the problem?
So Padmaja ji, allow me to respond. We would all agree, I think there cannot be and possibly cannot be a dispute that Amar Jawan Jyoti is a historical monument. It has an historical significance insofar as this country is concerned. We've all seen, Padmaja. In fact, you must have also seen, since our childhood, we've been seeing, the Republic Day parade happening at the India Gate, and the Prime Minister and the President and the Chief of the Army pays homage to our soldier at Amar Jawan Jyoti. Now tell me one thing. Have you ever seen any historical monument where we go to pay our homage? Okay, that gets shifted to another place. I have never seen that happening. I mean, I think this is, the incident, this is one such novel incident. This has never happened in the past. Now, I'll tell you another context of it. Now, this is the time where, ironically, we just celebrated 50 years of our 1970-71 war that we won. And we also observed that when this government was celebrating the 50 years of 1971 victory, the name of Indiraji was not there. So I have no apprehension in saying that what the government is trying to do, I don't see any difficulty if there are two flames.
Yes.
And if there is a flame at a National War Memorial, and there is also a flame that continues at Amar Jawan Jyoti, where people also go. It is not that only the government official or the constitutional authorities or only the president or only the prime minister can go there. Normal people also go there. And I mean, it is just as...
So essentially your argument is there was no harm in letting the original remain and get a new one. But also you're saying this is to spite the Congress party and the legacy of Indiraji largely. I'm unfortunately out of time, so I'll have to leave it open-ended. But over the next few hours, we are going to go into the greater details of this entire debate and have a more sobering debate on exactly why this was done. Much more of that coming up. For the time being, thank you very much all gentlemen, and Rami Desai for joining me. Quick break.